And as you continue to investigate, are you sending officers to that suspect's home?
Yes, we already have officers there.
You feel confident there are no other victims?
If we have the right identity of the suspect, we are at that residence right now.
We don't know if the two children were in fact related.
They were not related to them. That we do know.
A question with one of those school district members. When will students be allowed back to school, either this week or maybe even next week?
Yeah, again, we're going to have the school closed for the next 2 days at least, and then we'll provide an update at that point. Again, we'll have another briefing with greater details at 3:30. Right now, parent release may take up to 3 hours, so we're just asking everyone's patience. This is just a tragic event for every single person involved, and we want to make sure that we still operate at the highest level of safety and concern for every single child being released properly to every single parent. That takes time. We ask everyone's patience.
Under what circumstance would somebody be allowed to just go visit a classroom? What's the policy on that someone can just go into a classroom and visit a teacher?
So we have entry procedures for all of our schools, like most schools do, and check in with the office. Identification is generally checked, and in terms of what actually occurred on this day today, we'll unwind that more as the day unfolds and have greater detail.
How would that person be vetted or passed through the office, though?
Yeah, generally, again, with an identification having a purpose to be on the campus.
The children that were injured, how were they transported to the hospital?
Mark Harwood with the County Fire District. We had two children that were transported, one by air, one by ground ambulance.
And the shooter and the victim, were they related?
The adult victim, or
Yeah.
we don't know. Like I said, we don't know definitively what their relationship was at this point. That's what we're still working on.
Was there any indication there could be a problem? Did the school know of maybe a restraining order or have any knowledge that this teacher may have felt?
Does not appear to be the case, no.
Could you give just a brief summary of kind of the timeline, minute by minute, of how you think the situation occurred, starting with when the gunman arrived at the school?
I don't have the precise time that the gunman arrived at the school. We received the call at 10:27, and the initial call that we received was first of shots fired, followed by a possible active shooter, which obviously got both our attention as well as school PD's attention, and all of our units responding code 3 at that point.
And do you know how long the gunman had been inside the building by the time the shots were fired?
That will come out later in the investigation.
Captain, can you clarify once again, where exactly should students be picked up?
Students picked up.
Yeah, so again, we're asking all parents to go to Cajon High School, and that is where they will be reunited with their students. If they go anywhere else, it'll be very difficult to release their child properly. So again, proper identification, their child's safety is our utmost concern, and so their patience with the process would be helpful.
Can you speak, any of you guys, to speak it's just been a little over a year since we had another active shooting in this community. I'm sure when those calls came through, it really hit home to the law enforcement officers and people responding. Can you speak to that? Or?
You're referring to the December 2nd incident that took place in the city of San Bernardino? I believe that when you saw the city of San Bernardino respond with our police department and all of the agencies that came together, you saw a response that was as effective as it could have been. You also saw a community that came together that was concerned with retaliation, wanting to make sure that our community knew how to respond and come together in a united fashion. And we did that. We did that because too often these incidences are utilized as opportunities for others to take advantage of. We felt it was important to not only unite our community, but to also show and recognize that a community that is short on resources is very resilient and can deal with tragedy, disaster, just as effectively as any community in the United States. And we did that, and we will continue to do that in this occasion. We will rise to help our parents, our teachers, to regroup and to once again gain confidence in our community. Does that respond to your question?
Superintendent, can we talk about the school district's cell phone policy? Because a lot of parents were saying that they couldn't reach their children because cell phones are not allowed. Can you talk about the school's policy?
Well, I would assure you that many children have cell phones, and we know that they're communicating with their parents, and we're grateful they are.
But are they allowed? Are cell phones allowed?
Under all circumstances, students are allowed to have cell phones with them at all times. Now, those cell phones may not be utilized sometimes during instruction, but students are allowed, my own children have, and have texted. They're in schools right here in the neighborhoods.
In addition to San Bernardino and school police, couldn't help but notice that there were sheriff officers from all over the county responding. Can you elaborate on that? Because I was at the RSC situation, and I couldn't help but notice the cooperation that was given to San Bernardino PD along with the sheriff.
We are extremely fortunate that we have an incredible partnership with all of our surrounding allied agencies, including the Sheriff's Department, with Sheriff McMahon being here present with us today, the California Highway Patrol, as you see represented, San Bernardino City Unified School District Police Department with Chief Polino. We had a massive response to this tragic incident, as we saw on December 2nd of 2015, but it still doesn't negate the fact that tragedy has again befallen our city, and we need to now work through that and be there as much as we possibly can for all the involved parties. Two more questions,
Are there
folks.
any preliminary indications that the gunman may have been known to law enforcement prior to the shooting?
Like I said before, until we know for certain who he is, we won't know what his criminal history is. I would imagine any minute now we will have had an ID on him, and then we'll immediately know what that criminal history is.
Superintendent,
So we should have that information at 3:30.
Superintendent, can you speak to the parents and kids who may be a bit afraid to come back to school? Can you give them some sort of reassuring words, or what's on your mind right now?
Yeah, you know, as I mentioned, I have my own children in schools here in the district just within a stone's throw of where we're standing now. And, you know, I think I'd say the same thing to them. This is a tragic event. It's going to take time for our heads, our hearts to heal, and our patience with each other. You know, I'm grateful that when I first came into our first meeting point, there was a meeting taking place of dozens of counselors and assistant principals. We immediately deployed them to our students with our staff to ensure that there's as much comfort as possible. So when you're going through this type of a horrible event, we need each other to walk hand in hand to heal, and we need each other to continue to press forward to not allow what is tragic to halt our lives from continuing forward.
This is going to conclude our press conference. We will be having another press conference at 3:30 this afternoon at this same location. Chief Bergwan was in Monterey attending the California Chiefs Conference at the time of this incident. He, however, is making his way back, and he will be present at that 3:30 conference. Yes.
Housekeeping item, could we have every person spell their names, please, so we just have first